All right, I think we're going to get started. We're going to call the meeting of the RT Mobility Advisory Council for October 17th to order. I'm Jeff Tom, I'm the chair. And the next thing we're going to do is have introduction of members, staff, and then the public. So we'll go around to my left.
Charles Johnson, Vice Chair and Member at Large.
Helen O'Connell, Chair of TCMP Committee.
Oh, that's it on that.
Okay, so on Zoom now, members on Zoom.
Pam Floor, Member at Large representing seniors.
Aon with Agency on Aging, Area 4, representing older adults and people with disabilities.
Okay. I think that's it. All right. Oh, we got one more.
And Hugh's on, so.
Yeah, he was also on.
Chat. Thank you. Okay, so he's on, and now we have a quorum.
All right, we do have a quorum, so now we will go to introduction of staff.
Hi, Priscilla Vargas. I'm the ADA Compliance Officer and staff to the Mobility Advisory Council.
Kathy Sajan, the Paratransit Operations Manager. Holly Martinez, Senior Customer Advocate.
Letitia Caver, Customer Advocate.
Jamie Polcanavery, Director of Customer Satisfaction.
Austin Greiner, Accessible Services.
Alan Figueroa Camarena, also Accessible Services. There we go. Behind the pillar, Thomas Russell Jr., Transportation Superintendent for CBS and Sacramento.
Michael Cormier, Director, Light Rail Maintenance.
Vincent Beatty, Director, Light Rail Operations.
James Drake, Senior Manager of Service Planning.
Blanca Araujo, VP Operations.
How about now? Anthony DiCristofano, AVP of Operations.
Do we have more staff here? Yeah, let's introduce it.
I am Rowan Brandt. I'm a student intern for planning at SacRT.
Great, congratulations.
I'm Henry Kutukwa. I'm the Vice President of Capital Program.
Thank you.
Austin, would you mind passing the mic for folks?
Do we have any staff on Zoom, by the way? Before we.
Alan, any staff on Zoom?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, hi. This is Jenny Nilo, Principal Civil Engineer.
Oh, great. Thanks, Jenny.
Dan Allison with Sacramento Transit Advocates and Riders.
Jeff Tardigia, Advocate, Sac True, Kara, Owl, and a few others.
Anthony Adams, Director of Planning, Online.
Melissa Backrack.
Okay. Thank everyone for, we probably have, do we have anybody on Zoom from the public? Apparently not.
We just have a
few who are raising their hands.
Hello, this is Joseph Wilson. For resources for Philadelphia. Because I'm also a member of the IHSS Advisory Committee.
Great, thank you.
Hi, Jayanti Santana from IT Department, Sacramento Regional Transit.
Okay, thank you.
Margie Donovan.
Okay, thank you, Marge. Anyone else?
Hi there. Good afternoon. This is Sarah Poe with Secretary Planning.
Okay.
Oh,
We have a little bit of a problem. We had a breakdown in communication and I didn't know you were going to wait till after you got mugs and now I'm on a meeting. Is there any way we can get back together about 4:15
Could you
to
ask
finish
Mark
the packing?
or mute her?
yeah, Margie, can you mute, please?
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, so I think we've got everybody. I hope so. Thanks, everyone, for attending. This is a great number of folks we've got here at today's meeting. Okay, so our first item of business would be to entertain a motion to approve the September 19th minutes.
I make the motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Helen O'Connell.
Helen moves, Charles seconds. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Pam is
Aye.
raising her hand
All
also.
opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries. Okay, our next item is public comment on items not on the agenda. So let's start on Zoom today, and then we'll go to the room. So is there anyone with public comment on items not on the agenda? On Zoom, raise your hand. No hands raised, I gather.
You can speak into the mic to say no, so we can hear.
No hands on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. Okay, in the room. Jeff, go. We'll get you a mic. Go ahead.
Yes, Jeff Tartagia. The first advocacy issue is last month after this meeting, at 7 o'clock, I was on the Gold Line and we had a ramp fail to deploy at 13th Street over here. So for the next 20 minutes, they were in the process of finally manually getting it back, which basically blocked the whole system. I'm wondering if the further better process has been worked out for when they have a failure of ramp failing to return so that you can then, in a sense, move the vehicle. That happened around 7 o'clock p.m. That is issue number one. The second was that I was at 11:14 on at night, and your Gold Line said that you could get off at 8th and K Street. Well, 8th and K, you no longer can get out for maintenance. You start this at 7 p.m. at night, where you're taking trains out. And what ended up happening was the operator, not realizing that I'm in a wheelchair there, basically dumped me off at 8th and Capitol, which there is no ramp to get up there in any location in manner or means. I simply went home up 8th Street and took K to return home. But it is a matter that I believe you need to see about changing on both the light board, and my suggestion was using the 13th Street because you have the ramps for both ways, and you possibly have some TAs there for evacuating the vehicles that are going off for maintenance. Those are two things that have come up that I think dealing with the low floor train that are important. And there's a number of other issues that I think the MAC needs to be getting involved with. I did bring up at the board meeting that a number of procedures, policies need to be reviewed and suggesting whether they need to be adjusted in the given circumstances. That's my public comment.
Okay, thank you. So maybe we can potentially address those the two items you mentioned when we get down to our S700 update. We'll see if there's anything anyone has to say on them. Okay. Anyone else under public comment?
No hands.
Okay, then let us move on to the chair's report. So, a couple items. First item, as I think all of the members know, and we have an annual work plan that we need to develop. We try to get it done by January, and some years it lags over to February. And it ultimately gets submitted to the general manager and to the board. And so we want to start working on the development of that work plan so it can ultimately come to the MAC for our own perusal. I'd like to appoint a fairly small committee that would have at least one member of the executive committee and one person who is not on the executive committee to sort of begin to flesh out what we might need to have on that work plan. And so if there is a member, if there is a member who is not on the executive committee who wants to be on that committee, you can either speak up now, or you can, email or call me, get in touch with me in the next, week or so that I can appoint that committee by the time when the executive committee meets, which will be next week. So if anybody wants to speak up right now, they can. Otherwise, get in touch with me in the next few days. Okay, so our other item is, and of course, if no one does, we may have to voluntold somebody. So, you don't want that. The dreaded voluntold. Okay, so Alan submitted the 2025 proposed calendar. I hope people have read it. Is there any comment? I don't know that we need to formally adopt it, but is there any comments that anyone would like to make about any member comments? I'll take no comments as a sign that no one has a problem with it at this point in time.
So far, so good.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. And that is it for the chair's report. So we will now go on to old business, which we have, again, lots of old business. And we'll start with James Drake, and I guess is Laura here as well? No, I didn't think so. So start out with James Drake on Smart Ride. Great meeting the other day, James. We're eager to hear more.
All right. I guess I feel flattered to be called old business. I guess I could be called worse, and maybe have been in some of these forums. But no, thank you, members of the MAC. Good to see you as always. I'm here for an update on the Smart Ride transition. Last time I was here, I talked about the discontinuation of Smart Ride as we know it, and proposed replacement of it with a rideshare voucher program that would basically be like $5 vouchers to help people pay for the cost of an Uber in the existing Smart Ride zones. Since that time, that program or that initiative has basically just been discontinued. And we've put forward, SAC-RT has put forward a new replacement plan that we are kind of tentatively just referring to as a new shared use mobility program. But that in a lot of ways will resemble the Smart Ride that everyone uses today. And I'm here to tell you a little more about that. So what would be the same with the new program? We're still looking at the same transition date. Smart Ride, as we know it today, would still end at the end of the year on December 31st. The new program would take over with the first of the year. January 1st is a holiday, we don't run, but January 2nd would be the first day of service. The new service would basically be what we in the industry would describe as microtransit, the same as Smart Ride today. That is a demand response service in a smaller vehicle made on a non-fixed route, on a non-fixed schedule, on a point-to-point basis. Just like Smart Ride, customers would be able to book a ride either by app or by phone. Just like Smart Ride, we'd have the same 9 zones, the same days of service, the same hours of service from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Just like Smart Ride, it would be 100% accessible. Every vehicle would have 1 wheelchair space, and all operators would be fully trained on ADA, including, taking service animals. And this is, I should note, this is in response to a lot of the feedback we got both in this forum and in our updates to the SACRT board. Another important thing is this would also have, like Smart Ride, a low, affordable fixed fare. What's changing compared to Smart Ride as we know it today? These would be new vehicles. These would be smaller vehicles. These would be passenger vans with 3 seats each, plus 1 space for a wheelchair. We would also have fewer vehicles out there. Today, we carry about 700 people per day on Smart Ride. We think we'll have capacity for about 380 people. This is probably the point where I should mention the budget impact. I'm not going to dwell on it, but I think as you all know, we're doing this because we're facing some fiscal difficulties. Smart Ride today costs $8.4 million per year. The rideshare voucher program was going to scale that down to $800,000 a year. We heard a fair amount of complaints and concerns, and the new program is projected to be about $1.5 million per year. So it's a little more than the voucher program would have been, but we think it's a pretty good compromise to help minimize impacts on our customers who need this service. But like I said, there will be fewer vans, less capacity. So another important change is this will be restricted just to certain populations, and we're trying to limit it to more vulnerable populations. We just don't think we'll have the same capacity to carry everyone like we do today. Right now, we think those specific vulnerable populations will include seniors, persons with disabilities, and low-income persons. We've also talked about students being allowed on the program. What else is changing? The new program will also allow advanced reservations. There is potentially, I might even say likely, a change to the name. We probably will be phasing out the name Smart Ride and getting a new app, although that's not a complete certainty yet. The fare structure will also be changing. Today, we use the fixed route fare structure on Smart Ride. That would be changing. We would no longer be allowing passes. Everyone would pay 1 flat fare, and that flat fare would be $2.50. So folks who are senior disabled right now, they're paying $1.25. They would experience an increase in fare up to $2.50 per ride. What have we heard so far? We did a webinar to share this with the public a week ago today on Thursday the 10th. Got 100 guests, fielded 50 written questions and 20 oral questions. Really pleased with the turnout. And I'd venture to say the response was fairly positive and favorable. I felt like people understood that SACRT is facing some budget difficulties and thought this was a reasonable compromise. I don't want to necessarily put words in the mouth of the consensus. Two concerns I think we heard. One was on book in advance. And I'll preface that by saying over the lifetime of Smart Ride, we've heard a lot of requests for advance reservations. But in our public meetings, we did hear a fair number of concerns from people who like being able to book on demand and who are afraid that if advance reservations are allowed, that all the vans would be booked up and no one would be able to ride on demand, which is a nice feature when you want to make a spur of the moment trip. I think the other top concern we probably heard was about students. Students make up a great deal of ridership on Smart Ride, and with capacity being kind of limited, there was definitely concern that if students are in the eligible group, that they may absorb a lot of the capacity. So, you know, certainly we're in a case where we have to kind of ration very limited resources here. So there'll be trade-offs and tough decisions to make here. But that's what I'd say we've heard so far as the biggest issues. What's next? First of all, for more information, you can go to sacrt.com/rideshare. You're always welcome to contact me personally, James Drake. My email is jdrake, DRAKE, @sacrt.com. We'll be very busy over the next couple months putting together our contract with our provider, which incidentally will have the same provider for this service that we use for our software today. VIA is the name of the company. They provide software for us. They literally operate the service in West Sacramento, just across the river. And we're basically proposing to go to the West Sacramento model, which we've thought has worked pretty well. We have some work to do to complete securing the funds. There's $800,000 of purpose restricted revenue from local Measure A sales tax. And there's some work to be done to repurpose those funds for this program. And then we have some work to do to create a registration process because we plan to limit use of this to certain populations. We'll have to set up a web page and a process for people to become registered. We'll be back at the SAC-RT board on November 18th at a minimum to take our contract with our service provider. We expect registration for the new program to open first week of December. And we'd like to be out mid-December, potentially with like a soft launch to literally test the new service. December 31st, January 1st is an inherently tough time to cut over services. So a soft launch in December, we think makes a lot of sense if we can squeeze it in. It's obviously a very aggressive timeline. We are, of course, happy to come back to the MAC for more updates to the extent we can fit on the calendar. But with that, I'd like to thank you guys for your attention. The support and quality input of this group has been really helpful. And I think the SAC-RT board listens to this group. So thank you guys again for your attention and questions, and happy to take any now.
Okay, thank you. So we'll start with member questions and comments, and I would only preface this by saying this is really, if we want to make any comment as a body on either the student issue or the same day issue, this would really be the time when we would have to do it, because, you know, I think by November, the thing, it's all going to be done with. So, you know, in light of that comment, questions and comments from members first.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead, Charlie.
Does your vendor have the capacity to, in terms of vehicles primarily, to take this on?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. We've been very pleased with the vendor so far. Of course, they're not strangers to us because they're our software provider. To be clear, their preparatory work they're doing for us now is without a signed contract. But they've been very responsive. You know, they would be either buying or leasing passenger vans, doing a retrofit to add a rear wheelchair lift, putting on branding, all that stuff. But yeah, they're ready to go. They're eager to do this.
Fantastic. And also, I attended the forum that you held last week. And yes, there was a significant amount of discussion about students and taking up a lot of the rides. And this is going to be a big impact on students. And I was wondering if you could make a further comment about that. I don't know what the alternatives for students would be that are available, whether it just be long bus and light rail, or you know, and there very well might be some students that don't have an option, and they'll have to figure something else out.
Yeah, I think all of those are true. We've been looking at our origin destination data for trips made by students to schools. And, you know, there's some trips to schools where there's really not a fixed route option nearby. And there may not be much we can do for those students. I think that's fair. But there are others where there may be ways to make some slight alterations to existing fixed routes to address travel patterns that we see in Smart Ride, where, you know, even in a tight budget situation, you know, it's something we can do at minimal cost. A lot of times it's easier said than done with those things, but we're taking a look at it. We have good data. And yeah, I think that's a plausible thing we can do to help address that situation.
Great. Thanks very much, James.
Okay. Other members, including members on Zoom. Go ahead.
This is Pam.
Okay.
And
Go, Pam.
there's nothing more difficult than taking away what has been a privilege given. And talk about pitting one very deserving group against another. How horrible. You must feel like King Solomon in your department. Having said that, and looking at the people who are considered needing an advantage that they don't have, I'm afraid I do feel that seniors, disabled, really have less ability and option than students. And wow, if it has to be a choice, I think I would go to those. I don't envy your department wrestling with this right now, but I do applaud the work that's gone into coming up with solutions to this and considering the dire situation. Maybe, I mean, a lot better than it could have been, having some options instead of like when we had neighborhood ride years ago and it was just gone for everybody.
In light of Pam's question, James, or not comment, I should say, is there data on the percent of students, or an estimate anyway, of the percent of students that would also fall into the category of low income as opposed to non-low income, right?
We generally find that students correlate a lot with low income. And yeah, just kind of for background, we think students make up about 30% of ridership on the service. Those who ride on a senior pass and those who ride on a disabled ID, we think make up about 10% each. And then in general on Smart Ride, we think about a quarter of riders are low income, regardless of what pass type they ride on. So, you know, there can be some overlap between those categories. You put it together, but you're looking at the eligible population for the new service probably being kind of similar to around half of existing ridership today. I will say on the fixed route system, low income riders make up almost half of ridership. And on Smart Ride, it's only about a quarter. It's a little bit less than on fixed route. It's still quite a bit more than the general population. Persons riding transit, any form of transit, are significantly more likely to be low income than the general population. So we are always out helping the vulnerable. But relative to fixed route, it is a little less.
Okay. Any other comments or questions?
This is Pam again, and forgive my chiming clock. I can't get up and shut it off. And also forgive me, James, if you mentioned this already, but you're giving percentages of writers in different categories. Given the situation that you described to us today as the potential change, how much of a loss in ridership would that equal?
We think we'll have capacity for about half the number of riders that we carry today. And we think the eligible population will be about half the eligible population today. So we think it just about tracks.
Thank you.
Okay, let's take comments from members of the public, and we can come back and decide whether we want to have any kind of a motion on this. But let's take public comment first on the issue or questions.
Through Zoom or in the room right here?
Yeah, let's go Zoom first this time.
We have Margie Donovan on Zoom.
Okay, Margie, go ahead.
Am I audible?
You are.
Thank you. I've been having problems with that today. I'm going to try to be coherent. I'm not having a great brain day. Again, Drake, I am absolutely thrilled with you, your staff, including Henry, to hear our concerns that we're so serious about Uber. I am impressed with RT and how quickly they found something else. Via's been around a while. They're good. Regarding the ridership, I have a couple of questions. As I understand it, all passengers, including students, would pay the $250 per trip. Is that correct?
That's correct, Margie.
Okay. So, I think our students might go away. They've been writing it for free. And this is going to change things. In regards to students, do you have any data? We know there's a lot of cancellation, but do you have any data on how much of the cancellation is students?
You know, I don't have numerical splits on cancellations by students versus non-students.
Okay, and then my last, I think, comment about it is regarding low income, and I'm not denying that there might be a need out there, but if they are low income, why would they pay $250 versus taking fixed route for $125? Am I correct on the fixed route fare?
Well, no, their fare would be $250 on fixed route unless they're riding on some other pass, like a senior pass.
Yeah.
I mean, many low-income persons are riding on one of our DHA passes. That's limited, I think, to people on general assistance, but they're riding unlimited rides for free. So, but yeah, there wouldn't be a price differential.
Yeah, so some of this is going to be taken care of naturally, but I would hope that the MAC would come up with some sort of recommendations, and I certainly would like to see, as I recommend, and I tried to email you, Drake, but my brain just has been gone this week. I would like to see, I'm not on the MAC, but I'd like to see the MAC consider definitely 50% of reservations and 50% same day. And I'm not going to mention anything either way about students, but consider something there. Thank you.
Thank you, Margie.
Okay, anyone else?
We have
On
another
Zoom
question
first.
on Zoom from Glenn.
Okay, Glenn,
Okay, can you hear me?
we can.
Okay, very good. So I am here in Citrus Heights. I happen to live very close to where there are different facilities for disabled and elderly. I live very close to Kojir, and also Brookdale Assisted Living. In general, I'm always trying to turn on different people to different SAC-RT services as transit advocate. So as I'm getting familiar with both what is happening now with the new offering for the Smart Ride replacement, which sometimes has been called Via Access, I'm thinking about this from a customer point of view, and this is the reason for my asking this and presenting this to you. I've noticed that some of the targeted audiences for the new services also overlap with SAC-RT Go audiences. At least that's my impression. So if this is true, I'd like to know, how does a customer decide whether to use the new service or SAC-RT Go?
Well, great question, Glenn. I think in many ways it's very similar to right now, where and right now Smart Ride's open to the general population. So, you know, if you are a SAC-RT Go rider, you're certainly welcome to ride Smart Ride if it's in your area. Under the new program, the service would be restricted to persons with disabilities, but anyone who was a SAC-RT Go client would be eligible to ride the new service. And, you know, today, if you're paying $5 for a Go ride, you're probably paying $1.25 for Smart Ride. Under the new program, your $5 Go fare would compare to a $2.50 fare on the new service. So I think it would still be attractive in terms of affordability.
Can I just respond really quickly to that question? I know Helen has her hand up. This is Priscilla Vargas. Glenn, the ADA paratransit service is actually a service where you would apply for that service, and we have an application process that's pretty extensive. So it is a separated program, and you need to be determined eligible for that program. So, but what James is saying is, if you go through that process and you're determined eligible, then you're eligible for the new pilot that'll be launched at the end of the year.
And of course, there's no same day element to, you know, the SAC-RT Go as well. So there's several differences, not only in who can use the program, but in how it works. Anyone else?
Thank you so much for clarifying.
Sure. Who?
Helen.
Oh, Helen, go ahead.
Yes, right now, if you take a 60 pass for RT Go, you get all the rest of the RT services for free. Free bus, free train, free Smart Ride. You said that they wouldn't be accepting any other forms of passes. That would go away for the 60 pass riders, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. The proposed policy is just no passes on the new program.
Thank you for the clarification.
Okay. Any other members of the public in the room now? Jeff, go ahead. No, we're doing echoes.
Waiting for the microphone. James, for the board, you have a 6-month update, and you also have this for 18 months. My next question is, or that's a statement. The question is, what are you defining as students? Is this high school and be open the bog waiver, or is this, you know, all the way down kindergarten forward? And as being on a bus when there's only those children there aboard, is there going to be a TA available? The other question I will ask is related to the GPS. I understand via the current service, you have some discrepancy of where that is physically located at. Is there a better way of determining where your GPS is going to be dropping you off and or establishing a pickup point. I've done the other with dropping off, and note that it's picking up is sometimes an issue of determining where that is physically located. Those are my two questions.
Sure. Thank you, Jeffrey. So in terms of students and the fare question, by students, we mean K through 12 students. We weren't talking about college students. It's really age 13 to 18 that can ride independently. And I mean, it's kind of a minor point, but I mean, children 5 and under, I think, ride free with a parent. So I think we probably continue that if they're accompanied, but really haven't thought about that detail. With GPS, I'm not totally sure. These will be new vans. If you're suggesting you have difficulty with the accuracy of the vehicle locator and existing smart ride, it'll be new vans with all new technology. So it may hopefully work better for you. There's a possibility it could work worse. It'll be new. So we'll see.
Any other questions or comments in the room?
Dan Allison, Sacramento Transit Advocates and Riders. I want to say that STAR is supportive of the direction of this proposal. We initially proposed that it serve people who really needed the services, and that was done. We've heard the concern about students. I think the fact that it won't be free and that students would inherit, so to speak, the low-income status of their parent or guardian probably will reduce the number of students using it sufficiently so that it works. We've heard concerns about booking versus on demand, and what has been suggested of a 50-50 split is a good place to start with things, and it can be adjusted over time as it becomes obvious what the pattern of use is. But in general, we are supportive and we like where we're going.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Can I just interject for a second? Jeff, I have to ask a question really quick.
Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, has anyone signed into Zoom on the webinar? Because we're getting some weird noises periodically. So I just wanted to double check because IT was asking me if I could ask.
It would help to mute if you're on Zoom until you have a question to ask till your hand's raised.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's, is there any desire for a motion amongst the members on, let's do one at a time. First on the recommendation for a 50-50 advance same day split. Does anybody care to make a motion to recommend that approach to the staff and board?
Ellen O'Connell, I think that would be a good starting point just to see if it works out that no one gets pushed out of the system inadvertently.
So are you moving that we recommend that as a starting point?
Yes, please.
Okay. And is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion?
I have discussion.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I think the 50-50 is, I think we should take that as just a suggestion at this point, as Helen said, it's a good starting point, and to see how it goes, because it offers a bit more flexibility than what just Smart Ride offered, and so yeah, it might be a good experiment to try. And but again, it's probably not set in stone. If you find out that it's not working at all, then you can obviously change it.
Okay, anyone else? Members?
I'm so sorry. My Zoom went dead right as Helen was making her motion. Could it be
Sure.
repeated?
So the motion is that we recommend as a suggested starting point for service requests that it be 50% in advance and 50% same day, with sort of the understanding that it may need to be modified depending upon how things work. Any other members choose to speak on this issue? Hearing none, any public comments on the motion?
We do have Regina on Zoom.
Okay, Regina?
Thank you and good afternoon. I just want to say that I think this is a good starting point, and I want to thank the MAC and RT for listening to our concerns. And I'm saying that on behalf of the ACB Capital chapter, the local Sacramento chapter of the California Council of the Blind. And I do think that we would need to address the student question, perhaps with some income guidelines to make sure that the people, needing the rides get them. So that's my only comment.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none.
I think Margie had one more question.
Okay, Margie.
She just asked in text, will VIA be door-to-door for people with disabilities still?
James, you want to?
The answer is yes. Yeah, I think the answer to that's yes. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, I think we'd probably do that.
Okay.
Right now we allow, curb to curb, if you request a waive, and I don't think we depart from that.
Are we ready to vote, or are there any more member comments? Okay, seems like we're ready to vote. Motion being that we have a 50-50 advanced service and same day split as a suggested starting point. That is our recommendation. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 All those opposed? Abstentions? Okay. That motion has passed. Okay, so does anyone care to make a motion on the complicated student issue?
I guess you can make a motion, but I think at this point, at least what I understood from James is that it won't be open to students.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm not necessarily saying we should. I just want to give people the chance to.
And to be fair, I don't think SAC-RT has definitively said that it would not be open to students. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to be presumptuous about that. I mean, we certainly have heard concern about it, and I think we're recognizing that concern of our public statements. But I mean, the students can be a sensitive group too. I appreciate some of the comments made that the low income status may be the best way to identify students that need the service the most.
All right. Well, I don't see a great desire to make a motion on this issue anyway. So for want of such a thing, we're going to move on.
Can I say one more thing, Jeff?
Yes, absolutely, Pam.
I strongly support James' suggestion about using the financial status. That is appropriate. And just as a way of, again, this feels like Solomon splitting the baby. We are the Mobility Advisory Council regarding seniors and the disabled.
Yeah, I actually support, as an individual, I too support the low income status if it's workable, because it does, you know, give some equity in that area. Hopefully without, you know, impairing the ability of, you know, people with disabilities and seniors to use the service, which is what this body is mainly charged with doing. Okay. We will now go to the Watt I-80 update, and I think over Zoom we have Jenny Nilo, Principal Civil Engineer. So Jenny, it's up to you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So for the Watt I-80 Transit Center Improvement Project, we have started construction. We have Thompson Builders as our contractor, and they have mobilized and they have completed stage 1. There are 6 different stages for this project. And just as a quick recap, it is to build new stairwells that are open for line of sight. There's going to be a new median down Watt Avenue, and new bus plazas up on Watt Avenue. It's to increase safety, security, and visibility at the station. So we've completed stage 1, which is building a new bus lane down at the light rail station level. And the buses are now currently using that new bus lane. And they are now demolishing all of the existing plaza underneath Watt Avenue and relocating utilities for these new stairwell foundations. So we have come in contact with some utilities that were not located originally. As you know, this station was constructed as part of the starter line, so our as-builts were not thorough. Along with stage 3, which we started stage 3, which is to replace the median down Watt Avenue. Right before they started demoing, they found that there is a county fiber line that is actually in that median. So stage 3 is on hold, and we are going to have to move forward with stage 4A. And 4A is going to be reconstructing the west side of Watt Avenue and constructing that bus plaza on Watt Avenue. So as soon as Caltrans and the county approve the submittals for stage 4A, this will affect the west side of Watt Avenue. The stairwell and the elevators will be shut down, and all access will have to be from the east side of Watt Avenue. And the bus stop will be shifted down to in front of the Red Roof Inn. So I don't have a timeline on this, since we are still waiting for submittals to be reviewed, submitted, and approved by Caltrans and the county. But that'll be the next phase coming up, and that's going to be a little sooner than we expected, since we weren't able to move forward with stage 3 due to the utility that we found in that median. So the remaining stages will be next year, which of course is just right around the corner. The other stages will be the east side of Watt Avenue. And then we've got stage 5, which is going to be the on-ramps on the south side of 80. And then stage 6 is the on-ramps on the north side of I-80. Those on-ramps are going to be modified to so that there's not a free right turn, so that it's more of a 90-degree angle for vehicular traffic, to provide safer crossings for pedestrians and bicycles. So those again are all scheduled for next year. And I have not received an updated schedule yet based on stage 4A going in front of stage 3. This all just happened last week, at the end of last week. So we're still trying to figure out what our schedule is going to look like. But the contractor has been great so far, and their subs have been good. So hopefully they can get these submittals processed quickly and move forward with this project. Are there any questions for the construction at Watt I-80?
Okay, questions by members. Thank you for that excellent update. Members first. Any members, Pam or Hugh on Zoom, questions?
No one to-
No hands. Okay, so now
Sorry, we
let's
do have
start in
two
the
questions
room.
on Zoom.
Wait, we have a question.
The first one is from Margie.
Okay.
It's quick.
All right. Go ahead,
And
Margie.
it probably doesn't need to be asked, but given that I'm dealing with a brain injury, I'm going to ask it. How will the underside of the stairs be protected such that a blind person does not hit their head walking under them? Thank you.
Jenny, did you hear the
Oh,
question?
yes. I don't believe that would be an option. The openness is, I'll look at the plans and get back to you on that, but that should not be, that would not be something that we would want. So we'll make sure that that's not going to be a hazard.
Okay, thank you.
One other question on Zoom from Glenn.
Okay, Glenn,
Okay, can you hear me?
we can.
Very good. Okay, so my question is about the What I-80 station specifically. I've thought about this while I've been there, and now at this meeting, I've also thought about this. It's an idea, kind of brainstorm thing. So at the bottom floor of the Watt I-80 station, there are some bus bays. One of them is used by Placer County Transit, and then there's also been other times that they've been used by SAC-RT routes, like the latest one was 193. I was wondering if you might consider using some of these bus bays as part of your Watt I-80 redesign, especially to improve mobility. Thank you.
Jenny, do you have an answer for that?
Yes, I would have to defer that to probably planning for any of the bus route changes.
Okay. All right. Any questions in the room? Jeff, go ahead. We'll get you a mic and go ahead.
My question is currently, when you leave at I-80 station, there is simply a right angle and the sidewalk there is not, shall we say, you have to be careful so you don't fall off of it the way it is currently. This is on, we'll call it the south facing. Most of the work you're talking about is all looking at the north elevator and the stairwell protection. Is there any plans related to where you're exiting from the train? And obviously, I haven't seen how their 8 inches are going to go up in there, whether you're going to change it from the right side right now where you exit out currently with the high platform to what you are proposing to do on the low platform. That's my question.
Okay, I guess I'm not sure exactly what you're asking, but I think that would be definitely a good question for the low floor project. The Watt I-80 Transit Center Improvement Project is not making any changes to the station platform, only the access between the station platform and the improvements on Watt Avenue.
Does that answer your question, Jeff, or not? Okay, that's as much as she can give you. So, okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right. Thank you very much, Jenny. And we will move on to the website accessibility update. And for that, we're going to have Priscilla plus Frederico Ramondo and Vinod Paffa. So from Exemplify. So Priscilla, take it away.
Thank you so much. Well, you got the names down. I'm appreciative of that because I was struggling. This is an exciting item. I know it is for MAC members and guests. We have been working with Exemplify with Frederico and Benoit for a good while now, and it's been several months. And Janthy is also on from IT, so she'll be the IT representative. Vinny is out of town. So just to give you a little primer before we have a presentation by Federico and Benoit. As I said, the project's been underway for several months, and we're really pleased with the outcome so far. In fact, we had 2 MAC members that tested the ADA paratransit application, which was one of the big, it was a big project for us because we really wanted to be fully accessible and fillable for people that wanted to access it online. The good news is that both MAC representatives were able to complete that application online through their screen reader tools. So that's a good thing. We're going in the right direction. And I wanted to share, and I'm sure that Benoit and Federico may mention as well, that after the presentation and after we go through a bit more editing of the website, it will become available. We'll be conducting a preliminary test of the site, and we will be sending a link to the MAC members who will be able to peruse the site at your leisure. We'll have that site up for 1 or 2 weeks testing, and then it will go away. So it will disappear. It's not like forever that the website will be available online. And our goal is to launch the new website sometime in January 2025. So that's kind of an overview, but I certainly want to open it up for the presentation, which is a presentation that I think both will be giving some information, but I'll just pass it over to Benoit and Federico for that presentation. Thanks.
Hi everyone. Hello, I'm Federico. I think we know this also
Yes.
there as center. Yeah.
Yes, hi everyone. This is Vinod from Exemplify. Can you hear me?
Can.
Wonderful. Thank you for the initial briefing, Priscilla. So as Priscilla mentioned, we have been working with the SAC-RT team, lots of different stakeholders, the marketing team, the IT team, the mobility team for a few months now. And we are very close. We are beginning to open it up, the site for testing by the various different stakeholders. And I'm going to share my screen and talk a little bit about, obviously give you a little sneak peek at the new site, and also talk about all the effort and the various different things that we have done to achieve what we call the AA compliance, which is the gold standard for accessibility for websites. So with that, I will share my screen. And is it possible for me to share the screen? It says it's disabled
Yes,
right
they
now.
just need to pull down the PowerPoint,
Okay.
I think.
Oh, you would like to share? That's fine. Okay. Yeah, great. Let me see if I can share now. It still says. I was hoping to give a quick, demo of the website, if that is possible.
I think we're. Oh,
Would you like us to present the file we have, the screen share on us, or do you need us to give you screen share
can you
privileges?
give him the privileges, please?
Please.
Thank you. And I think it'll just be easier.
That'll be easier. Yeah.
Benoit.
I'm still waiting for the access.
Yeah.
It still says the participant screen sharing is.
We're getting there.
Okay,
Give us a moment.
no problem.
Sorry, we're not able to get you to screen share right now. We'll just present it from our end.
That's fine. Is it okay if I send you a link which you can perhaps share on your screen. It's the link to the new website.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, let me send you the link. I just am sending it on chat here. Please let me know if you can open it.
Yes, thank you for the link. Let me open that up.
Mhm. Right. Thank you. I hope everybody can see Austin's screen, and obviously I'll be talking through the website and some of the functionality that we have implemented. So it's a complete redesign of the existing site. And as you come to the website, one of the first things we have done is that we have implemented big fonts, so big text that makes it easy for people to see the content. And what you will also notice is that the site is multilingual. So on the top, we can actually select the language on the top right. We can select the language that different folks want to check it in, and then the website will change the language accordingly. And it's very user-centric in the sense that the very first thing that users see when they come to the site is they can see how to plan their trip. So if they're going to go from a certain place to another place, they can type in their address, and then they can get the directions, which then takes them to the various different options that they have for getting from place A to place B. Further on down below, we have provided very big buttons where they can access the maps and schedules, as well as see the different service alerts. So right out of the gate, we're giving them tools to be able to plan their trip, see the maps, see the schedules, and see any service alerts that there might be. And as you scroll on further down, we give an overview of all of our services, the light rail, the bus, the smart ride, the paratransit service, and again, designed in a very big, bold manner so that they introduce our services and are easy to see and access. And further on down, so with this, we kind of come to the sort of the end of the main areas where the users would be accessing the different services. But as we scroll on further down, we begin to talk about SAC-RT and all of the different types of ongoing projects that we have, our initiatives around sustainability. So we have a lot of different content that we share with the different audiences. Further on down is the careers section, where for job seekers who are interested, they can check out the various opportunities with SAC-RT. And then as you scroll down further, this is a section for all of the different events that we are organizing, the different board minutes, the board meetings, the MAC meetings, all of those events across different months, what's upcoming, having easy access to all the board documents, all of that is in this particular section here. And then further on down, we provide easy access to different resources, especially the apps. So the ZipPass app, the Bus Tracker app, and then the Alert SACRT app, and then they can click here to download all the apps. And the last couple of sections, as we scroll on further down, are just more information, pretty much the blog posts that we publish around different topics. And lastly is the section, a little bit of a fun section that shows all of the many of the rider testimonials about their experience riding with SACRT. And then that kind of brings the homepage to an end. So, and obviously this is the homepage, and then you can click into various different sections on the site, and then you can begin to access a lot more detail. So as tying it back to what Priscilla mentioned, this is obviously not fully done yet. We are working with the marketing team and many of the different internal stakeholders over the next few months, and we're looking to launch the site early January. And we are looking to obviously get feedback. We'll be opening it up for testing, and we hope we'll get a lot of feedback from the Mac team. Obviously, we already have received feedback and implemented it. So what I would like to show next is talk a little bit about all the work that we have done towards making the site accessible for all. So Austin, if you can go back to the slide deck, please, and I can talk a little bit about the different initiatives and different things we have done towards accessibility. So if you can show the presentation. You can go to the next slide, please. And the next one. So the goals, and again, just as a quick background about our firm, we were selected partly because as a firm, obviously we're based here in the South Bay, and we have worked with many transit agencies designing their websites and building their websites. This includes the San Francisco Bay Ferry and ACE Rail, and we manage the Los Angeles Metro and in San Diego. So we have a lot of expertise building these sites. And one of the key stakeholders, one of the major stakeholders is the mobility teams. And as we focus on accessibility, even as we deliver a great experience, a completely brand new site, we need to make sure that we are adhering to the WCAG standards. These are the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, which are industry standard for all web content that is published. And there's different levels of compliance. And the gold standard is the AA compliance, which is what we have had as a goal. And we also have believe we have achieved that goal based upon the different tests that we have done. So I'll talk a little bit about the different things that we have done. So if we can go to the next slide, please. So when building a website, there's a lot of elements that we have to think about in terms of making them easily usable by people with disabilities. This includes the web pages, all the documents that are available on the site, all the forms that people can access and fill and complete, all interactive elements. This includes buttons, links, making sure all that is easily accessible, multimedia, which includes images and videos. So these should be described in a text format. All multimedia, we need to be able to describe that so that people don't have to see the images or be able to see the images to know what the image is about. And lastly, the mobile experience on the phone, ensuring that the experience on the desktop is also working really well and accessible on mobile as well. So all of these things are different elements that we have to think about. And drilling down into these a little bit further, and I will go through this a little quickly here. If you can go to the next slide. So when we design web pages, we ensure that all screen readers and any other assistive technology can interpret the content accurately. So if you just turn on the screen reader, then it should be able to walk the user through the page without, loss of fidelity. And there's technology that goes into achieving that. So, and if you go to the next slide, similarly for documents, same thing. It needs to be screen reader ready. And in the particular case of SAC-RT, this was a lot of effort we had to do because there were a lot of documents, 400 or so documents that were already on the website, which were not compliant. So we had to go back, tag all the elements correctly, ensure proper order for the reading, making the text selectable. So a lot of this effort went into making the documents readable. The next slide, please. In addition to fixing all the documents, what we've also done is we've worked with the SAC-RT team and we have created instructional videos so that we provided training as well as instructional videos so that the team that is working on these PDFs knows how to keep them accessible, or for any new PDFs or documents that are being created, what kind of standards should be used and what kind of process should be used. So that has happened. Next, please. There's a lot of forms on the site. So all of these forms were redesigned to ensure that they work with screen readers, and they also are all accessible via pure keyboard navigation. So you don't need to use a mouse, which is problematic for a lot of people. Just with pure keyboard navigation and all screen readers. So the field labels were properly announced. We had clear labels, we have proper error messages. And then anytime, someone needs to submit the button, submit on the button, the keyboard can actually, do the submit. You don't need a mouse. So all of these standard checks and changes were done to ensure that the forms are compliant.
So, Vinod, this is a fantastic presentation. I think this is what some of us have wanted to see for a long time. Due to time and due to the desire that we have a few minutes for questions, if you could limit it yourself to no more than 5 minutes.
Yes, we are at the end of it.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. And I believe that's the forms. And then go to the next slide, please. And then there were a lot of other simpler things that we did. So for example, all of the navigation on the site. So when you come to the site and you see the links in the header, all of that stuff is keyboard navigable. So you don't need a mouse. All of the color, you've seen the website, all of the color contrast and the visuals are done in a way that makes it easy to navigate. Next slide, please. All the buttons and the links, again, are accessible via keyboards. And finally, a lot of testing has happened on many different mobile devices to ensure compliance across all of these different screen sizes. So that said, this is a combination of things, next slide, please, all of which goes towards ensuring the compliance as of when we launch the site. But at the same time, we are working with the SAC-RT stakeholders and have provided training and will continue to provide training so that the compliance levels stay even after we launch. And finally, we also are working with the SAC-RT team. We do have a long-term support and maintenance engagement where we will be around to continuously monitor this post-launch as well. So with that, we're quite excited to open it up to the MAC team for testing and getting the feedback. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, questions from MAC members. We'll take anybody on Zoom first with questions from MAC members. No hands? Okay, let's go in the room. Helen, go ahead.
Yes, I was wondering for the apps, are you guys responsible for getting all the apps put together into a format where you don't have to have a whole bunch of different ones?
Unfortunately not, Helen. Our charter has been just the website, and the apps are not under the purview.
Okay, thank you.
Quick question here, Jeff.
Okay, Charlie, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what Jeff said a moment ago. This is a fantastic presentation. It looks great, and I'm really looking forward to giving it a test drive. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, members of the public, we'll take the room first. Melissa.
I had two questions. Maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but I didn't see anything on the website about planning.
About what?
Trip planning?
Trip planning, okay.
Priscilla, yeah.
Did you get that, Benoit? On the very first, it's on the homepage.
It's on
trip
the
planning.
homepage. The trip
Okay,
planning
so
is
that,
in the home, yeah.
that will also be accessible then.
Yes. Correct. And we just showed just the homepage. There are obviously, it's a big site, lots of other pages that as you get deeper, the trip planning becomes obvious. And we do have it front and center, the first thing when you come to the homepage as well. Yeah.
Okay, good. I didn't see it on there.
Did you have a second question?
I'm sure it's on there, but I didn't see anything about how to pay for stuff. Do you have to do that only on the app, or can you do it from a computer as well?
It still is in the app. The website is mostly informational at this point in terms of how to plan your trips, what kind of schedules, so on and so forth, park and ride, lots and lots of informational details, but it doesn't accept payments right now.
Okay, thanks. Those are my questions.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else in the room? Yeah, okay.
On your homepage, it looks like the default is desktop. But you say it works on cell phones and on tablets with equal veracity. You have also on that first page with the trip planner, you have up there service alerts, and you also have a second connotation. Can you explain the differentiation of those two on that page?
Right. So you meant to say the maps and schedules and the service alerts? Those
Correct. On there, you had one had 25 and the other didn't designate how many was there.
Oh, at the very top, yes. So at the very top, we've obviously conducted a lot of user interviews. We looked at some of the data around how the site is used. And one of the most common things that people come to the site for is trip planning, right? So at the very top, right at the top, we have a big button for trip planner. And then the other one is the service alerts. So the service alerts also is a very commonly requested feature. And when you see the number 25 there, what it is showing is that as of right now, there are 25 different alerts relating to different topics. And that's very live information. So it actually is getting real-time information about the alerts as of right now. So that's what those two things deal with. And to your point about multiple different devices, absolutely. In fact, again, quite a bit of users, more than half the users come to the site on their phone. So that was an extremely important demographic, and that it works seamlessly for the phone and also the tablet devices.
Okay, we're going to move over to Zoom, see whether there's any questions on Zoom.
No questions on Zoom. I just would read a comment from Jessica Gonzalez, who says, we used user analytics to determine the most important information to include. Also, the new web page they showed isn't updated at this time, still has text edits needed.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. All right, so no one else? Okay, well then, thank you very much. It was, of course, as I said, an excellent presentation, and we're going to move on, Jeff, only because we've got two more important items to do and want to make sure we have time for them. Anyway, so thank you very much. And we'll now move on to our item D under old business, the S700 LRV update with our usual cast of suspects, Michael Cornier and Vincent Beatty and others et al. So guys, go ahead.
Suspect number one here. Good afternoon. Pleased to see everybody. We are currently sitting still steady with 16 operating S700s out in the fleet. We still have 4 that are working through the program of testing and all the gamut of tests and things that we have to do. The other newsworthy item is car 21. Our 21st car should be arriving sometime in November. So that'll be a great Thanksgiving present for everybody. I hope everyone will bring their turkey on board. So we are continuing to work on things, especially the ramp tone as the ramp extends from the LRV, from the outside. We're working with our partners at Siemens to rectify that situation. So that's still in progress. We're working with Siemens also on the tape switch still. So we're diligently working on that to get things worked out to where it's working and functioning as we need it to. And to address Jeff's comment on being stuck on the train, Jeff, I'm right there with you. I watched every video and I watched your movement and you pressing every button and calling the operator. So I've seen it all. And myself and the assistant vice president were on board the train trying to duplicate, try to see. So we spent probably a good solid hour trying to duplicate that. And we are actively still watching that over that to try to, work out what happened. And there's so many items to look at, circuitry and things like that. So just to let you know that we're still right there with you. And we've watched you a lot on video. So we're casing you whether you know it or not, because we want it to work.
So you're saying he's a star? Is that the point?
You know what? He is the star. And so anyway, thank you very much. And your comments are taken, and we're archiving them and trying to take that and turn it into a useful item and try to get things fixed. That's all for the update on the S700s.
Okay, questions from members. Anybody on Zoom first?
No questions on Zoom.
Okay, anybody in the room? Members. Helen, go ahead.
Yes, I am under the impression that the handicap button to open the doors and deploy the ramp from the inside is being overridden by the regular opening door button from the outside. And that is a very big safety issue, because if the door opens and there's no ramp and somebody doesn't know that there's no ramp, somebody could get severely injured.
Hi, Helen. Yes, I would agree. We tested that function, and the blue ADA button takes priority over any door opening button. We've tested that probably 50 to 70 times, and every time it works exactly how it should. The only thing that would trump that is if the operator were to disable the doors from inside. So we are actively looking at that very closely to monitor and make sure that the ADA patrons get out as needed. But that is in our thought. We are working through that. We heard the same thing too. And just rest assured, the ADA button does take priority. Even if someone presses the normal button first, it will literally close that button, launch the ramp, and then reopen the doors once it's safe. So we've tested that feature over and over again, and we're satisfied there's no glitch there. But we're looking at other things that could impact that, maybe from the operator standpoint.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Helen.
Okay, anyone else? Members?
One question on Zoom from Glenn.
Okay, well, yeah, I think I already asked, no members on Zoom. Yeah, let's go with Glenn then.
Yes, okay. My question is about Jeff's situation there. I was wondering, as you said that you tried to duplicate this problem, I was wondering if it might be a situation that it may be unique to just one particular vehicle as opposed to a problem that's on all the vehicles. I may be stating the obvious, but I thought I would ask about that.
Absolutely. Thank you for that comment. We took Jeff's vehicle and tested it. We actually pulled it off the main line and tested it to ensure that it was functioning as intended. And then we went to other vehicles and continued to test that option as we ran through it. So thank you. But no, we did in fact pull Jeff's vehicle off to the side and tested it for our own sanity. So thank you for the comment.
And we'll go to Melissa and then Jeff.
I want to add to Michael's statement. We, after watching the video, we were concerned. We thoroughly tested every different scenario, and we were able to recreate the situation. And it's very complex, but it shouldn't happen often. However, what we're doing is we're working with Siemens on a fix to be able to avoid that situation from ever occurring.
Thank you very much.
I had a question. It was a holdover from last month. I had made a suggestion and I was under the impression, maybe I misunderstood, that it was going to be talked about at the 10th board meeting. And that is that when some of us can't reach the buttons very well, especially from the outside. And so it had been suggested that the operator, when they come to a stop, just go ahead and open the ramps. It would do two things. It would make sure that people knew which doors were ramp doors so that they're not blocked by people that don't need them. And secondly, it makes it easier for people like me that can't really reach the buttons very well. And I was under the impression that it was talked about at the board meeting on the 10th. I was wondering what the resolution was. And also, I wanted to say that I did notice somebody did it for me this morning when they saw me. But I don't know if that's a regular thing or that just happened to happen this particular time. And the other thing that that came to mind is that I have a job only for the next couple of weeks during the election. I work as a poll worker, and on the 5th, I'll be coming home very late at night. And I was wondering if those ramps are lighted, because I would have trouble seeing them in the dark.
So for the first question regarding deploying the ramps, we're still researching what we're going to do with the operators. One of the ideas is to open the ramps when they see a person with a wheelchair. We're also researching, doing some work with Siemens that maybe the operator can be alerted if there's a person inside the train in a wheelchair that needs to get off. Right now, we don't have that. So we're still doing a lot of research on how we're going to address that. As for the ramps being lighted, I believe they're reflective. They have reflective tape, and there's a lot of lighting from the train, but them being illuminated themselves, they are not.
Oh, okay. Okay, because, yeah, those are my two comments.
Okay, thank you. Jeff? Sorry. Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, likewise, I discovered if I push the strip before the operator just, should we say, connects it, is one of the situations that create where it does not release. And so the outside will take control over that. But right now, my concern is when you are disengaging the low floor trains, you currently have them marked off as getting off at 8th and K. And right now that doesn't work. And I've had an operator drop me off at Capitol in 8th Street, which there is no way for a getting onto the high platform. I've also seen at 16th Street where the way it is set up, you don't have 40 inches to get off the ramp before you, in a sense, run into where the wall is. And that is a big transfer point. So you have you're the danger of running into people if you get off of the ramp at 16th Street. It's just a heads up.
Thank you.
Okay. So that is our last comment on that item. And we will now go to our last item of old business. Kathy Sation will give us the SAC RT Go update.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm here to present the first quarter of FY 24-25. And so to begin with, our total passenger trips for July was for Go was 22,129, with 7,467 being on UServe, and a total of 25,282 trips. And for August, our total was 27,888 trips, along with in September, we had a total of 27,332 trips. So our on-time performance for July combined between Go and UServe was 89%. In August, it was 86%, and in September, it was 80%. Some of the downfall came from a number of our staff, unfortunately, experienced having COVID. And with school being back in, there's a lot more happening. And so, as you know, of course, there's always a difference between Go and UServe when it comes to the on-time performance. So that's why you'll notice, like with Go for July, 86%, and with UServe, it's 99%. They're more apt to, because they're doing direct rides. And we are continuing to hire more drivers. And our ridership, I can tell you, in the last, since I returned to work, has gone from between 12 and 13 to between 1,300 trips to 1,400 trips. And we're closer to the 1,400 trip per day.
Gee, I know I didn't take 100 trips per day.
And everybody wants to go at the same time, Jeff.
Okay. Questions, comments? Or are you done? First, I want to make sure you're done.
Yes.
Okay. Questions, comments? Members first in the room.
I have a question.
Go ahead,
Charlie. Okay, of the SAC-RT Go, can you do you have a breakdown as to how many of those are well, I guess that percentage is the number of rides that are within the 30-minute time frame. Is that correct?
That's total. Like, are you talking about the total trips, or are you talking about the on-time performance?
No, the on-time performance for RT Go.
Okay, so the on-time performance is the ADA, what the ADA requires. So it's the ADA service area trips. because that's what we're accountable to for.
Right. And so do these numbers then, okay, so there's a mix then in the on-time percentage of ADA trips and non-ADA trips. Is that correct?
For the grand total,
No, for
Or-
just the RT-GO.
RTGO, we just look at the ADA service area.
The
trip.
ADA service area.
Yes, and same with you, sir.
Okay. For the ADA trips, do you have any breakdown on the numbers that take place after, let's see, well, there's a 30-minute time window,
Mhm.
and then 30 minutes after that, basically 1 hour after your negotiated time pickup.
So are you looking for how many were late during,
After, yeah,
like
but
past the 30-minute window?
past the 30-minute window.
I don't have that available with me right now, but I could definitely get that information and get back to you.
Okay, and I'm looking specifically for those, so you have a negotiated time
Right.
to be picked up.
Mhm.
Then there's a 30-minute window. And then what I'm basically looking at is those that were more than an hour late after the negotiated time.
I can definitely bring that to the MAC next month if you'd like.
Okay, because personal experience, I've had in the past month or so, I've had 2 trips. And the way I set it up was to be at a destination at a particular time. And I was picked up after I was supposed to be at my destination.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And so anyway, that's
We do
another-
apologize
So,
for that.
okay, but yeah, if you could collate some of those numbers out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Kathy.
Anyone else? Members first.
Helen.
Helen.
Ellen, go ahead.
Hi, Kathy. I have had increasing incidences where I supposed to be picked up, say 8 o'clock at night, and I get picked up at 9:30. And it's usually on Wednesday nights because Sundays I have an earlier pickup.
Mhm.
How many drivers are available after 8 o'clock on Wednesdays?
It varies, Helen. I would have to look to see exactly and just how many may have called off or had, vacation time or whatever on Wednesdays. I mean, I can definitely look and get that to you.
I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, how about Zoom? Got any member comments in Zoom? Apparently
Yes, we
not.
do have 2
So,
questions on Zoom. The first one is from Regina.
okay, we'll take Zoom from the public. So go ahead, Regina.
Well, hello, Kathy, and I would like to commend SACRT Go. We had an accessible theater festival in the middle of last month. There was a lot of traffic in and out of pretty difficult area, and it went very well for both performers who were blind and low vision and people that were attending who had all different disabilities and quite a few using SACRT Go. So thank you so much. I know we get on here and talk about what goes wrong, but I also want to recognize when things go right.
Thank you. I'll make sure I pass that along to staff.
Okay, anyone else on Zoom?
There's one more. That's from Margie.
Okay, Margie.
Hi, I would like a point of clarification, please. I've heard both sides of this. When a driver will be outside of the window and they ask dispatch to contact the passenger, is dispatch supposed to do that? Or is dispatch not supposed to do that?
They do the best they can to make a courtesy call. A lot of times, Margie, just so it depends on how many staff are working at that particular moment, because they also are answering radio calls from drivers along with our driver's line. And of course, any passengers that are calling into dispatch looking for their bus. So it all depends. They do their best to make a courtesy call when possible.
Okay, okay. Is that tracked in any way? Shh, please go. I'm
They
sorry.
do,
So-
when they make a courtesy call, they actually put a note in the client files, putting like provided ETA to passenger, and then of course there's a timestamp.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. Appreciate
You're
you as
welcome.
always.
Okay, in the room,
Oh, Melissa has her hand up.
Melissa.
First, I want to echo what Marty said. You guys, in general, you do a wonderful job. I'm very, very pleased with what you do for the most part. I do have a question. I understand that you are the ADA answer to people that supposedly can't take the RT or have difficulty with it or whatever. So I was told by one of your staff, and I honestly can't remember who it was, that told me that you weren't allowed to refuse a trip. Is that true?
That's true.
Okay, because to me, my personal opinion, I would rather have somebody say, we're really booked. We don't have time to take you at this time, and choose a different time than have somebody show up an hour late. To me, that would make more sense. 90% of the time, it's something I can change. Sometimes if it's a doctor's appointment, I can't, but most of the time I can change it. And I'd rather have that option than to have somebody say, you're gonna be an hour late and make changes or whatever. That's a little late at that point for me to make whatever change I need.
Yes, unfortunately, the FTA, we can't look at trip purpose, so we can't, it's no different than me catching a fixed route. I don't tell the operator where I'm going. So there's that, along with, we cannot deny anyone a ride.
Wow, okay.
To add something to that. So we also don't necessarily know that you're going to be late when you're booking that trip. That's something that we're.
No, I didn't mean going to be late to my appointment, but being late. If you're an hour late picking me up, most of the time I'm gonna be late to where I'm going. That's my responsibility to call the provider and say I'm gonna be late. But I would rather have somebody say, hey, we have a lot of people booked that day. We don't think we're gonna be able to get you there by the time you requested, and I'll either change the time or I'll pick a different day than to have somebody say on this day of, oh, by the way, you're late, you're not gonna make your appointment. And now I gotta disappoint other people and scramble to make things different. Anyway, just a point of clarification, that's all. I didn't understand why people were doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right, thank you, Kathy.
Just make one more comment. Thanks, Kathy. We didn't have this in the packet, this information in the packet like we normally do. So we will send it to the MAC members following the meeting. And in the future, I'm sure we'll make it in time. And we'll
apologize.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. But just so everybody knows that you will be getting that information. Thank you.
Okay, so new business, and there is none. And other business and announcement. So does anybody have business they'd like to see on the next agenda and or announcements? We'll lump it all together. So members, do you have anything that you want to bring up for our next meeting or whenever?
See any hands in the room, maybe on Zoom?
Anybody on Zoom? No? Okay. Anybody from the public have any announcements that they would like to make? Jeff does, okay.
Yeah, just for the MAC members, I believe it's Thursday, November 14th, down at the Robinson, or no, it's not Robinson Center, but there is going to be a discussion for disability and for what has come out of the, I believe, the county hearing sessions about dealing with from the Department of Aging, and the disability community is having a conversation discussion at 10 o'clock in the morning. And I'm trying to think right now, I want to say it's going to be on Martin Luther King Boulevard, but there should be plenty of flyers out there explaining it about it. Just encourage to look at it. And I believe that's before we have the next meeting of MAC.
Jeff, it's at the Oak Park Community Center that is on Martin Luther King and 9th Avenue.
Okay, thank you for bringing that up, folks. Anyone else? Including Zoom.
Kathy has an announcement.
Kathy,
I'm back.
you weren't gone long.
Many, many of you know that I'm a commissioner on the Sacramento County Disability Advisory Committee. And one thing I wanted to announce is that the county received funds and will be revitalizing, not only revitalizing, but actually renovating the Sacramento International Airport. And so I'm working very closely with Chris Martin from the county and making sure that our paratransit stops don't move. But one of the other items that they're looking at is there's going to be a transit hub, but that's strictly going to be like for fixed route, and everybody will be there and you would catch whatever bus. But for the paratransit, the stops will remain where they are today. So I just wanted to let everybody know. And if there's ever a time you'd like Chris, I'm sure Martin to come and present what they're actually doing out there, it's going to be fantastic. I mean, we're really excited about it. They're making it more available in the secured areas for the guide dogs to relieve themselves. They're doing the bathrooms all over again. It's going to be state of the art.
Kathy, in that context, do you happen to know when the next presentation is going to occur before the commission with respect to the airport?
I don't, but if I'm sure that we could have Chris Martin present to the MAC.
Yeah, I'm sure we could too.
Gina had asked, Gene was the one that was questioning this particular item, so.
Yeah, his issue was the parking issue, but that's certainly, we could certainly broaden it to
It might
cover
be a
other
good
things.
idea to have Chris come over and give us sort of a general overview.
Yeah.
Maybe for next month or the following?
I can definitely reach out and I'll do that.
Okay,
Thank you,
sounds
Kathy.
good. Thank you. All right, anyone else? If not.
Yes,
Oh,
Jeff?
yes.
And
Yes.
Laura.
Yes.
And that was a suggestion I had made, discussing about the new airport
Oh, that was you,
situation.
Pam. Sorry, Pam.
Yes, that's right. It was you that did it originally. Thank you. Sorry, Pam, for not attributing it to you.
That's okay. I'm
Thank
not
you.
looking for fame and glory at this point.
All
I
right,
would.
do we have a motion to adjourn?
No, I'm not done. I'm
No, we're
not
not
ready.
done? Oh, I'm sorry.
Just a little time. I would also like to include in that discussion the airport bus that has started, I think at the Capitol area, something like that, in terms of senior needs, not just the needs of SAC-RT Go riders and paratransit riders, but seniors who are not specifically designated as disabled, but do have special needs in terms of getting to the airport.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. And I move that we adjourn.
And thank you for that too.
Seconded.
Motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, abstentions. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.